Hey, this is Russ from the Infectious Groove Podcast and Vinyl Channel. Coming up today, I'm going to go over a little bit of what's in my new arrivals bin and why I even have a new arrivals bin in the first place. Coming right up. If this is your first time stopping by the channel today, hopefully this video will make you go ahead and hit the subscribe button. If you have seen videos from the channel before and you haven't subscribed, hopefully this is the one that earns your subscription. If you hit the little red subscription button, it'll help out the channel some. If you like this video or anything you've seen on the channel, hitting that like button helps out as well. One thing I want to talk about today is kind of vinyl finds, my new arrivals, what's new to my collection, and just some very quick background on why I even have a new arrival section. When the very first video that we put on the channel that was kind of a tour of the whole room and everything, out of all the cool comments and nice interactions that we had, one of the more common questions was, why do you have a new arrivals bin? Like, I get having spots for all the artists and various artists and things divided up a certain way, but you know, why do you have a whole section just for where you keep new arrivals? And I found that, especially with the size that my collection has got to now, but even back when I had 100 or 200 records, sometimes you run the risk of getting an album and it gets filed away. I don't want to say forgotten about, but it gets filed away and it gets never listened to. And for me, I noticed that was happening back when I had, 100 records or so. So I wanted to come up with an area similar to a record store, even though I'm not a dealer in any way, shape, or form, but have a new arrivals area. Every record that comes in the house gets run through the VPI 16.5 record vacuum, sleeved up properly. I've gone over that on the channel before, outer and inner sleeves. But then it sits here in this new arrivals bin until I've had a chance to listen to the whole album, or the greater majority of the album, at least 2 or 3 times before it gets filed away. That's not to say I won't ever listen to these albums again, or there's a danger that it'll never be played again, but I really like to make sure that I'm getting the enjoyment out of the record that I'm paying for, at a bare minimum, right when it joins the collection, before it gets filed away and then maybe comes up in one of our music nights, or when I'm in the mood for it or whatever. So that's why things stay here in the new arrival bin. Some really wildly different genres end up in this bin at the same time. Sometimes it's all extremely similar stuff. It's just whatever I've been buying lately. And actually the first thing up in the bin is a record that I didn't even buy, Alan Parsons Project's I, Robot, this is a really cool record that I have that was given to me as a gift. I had a birthday pass recently, and I had met a friend who we had talked about how you would think that I would know more Alan Parsons Project material because of my love for the Beatles and Pink Floyd, an artist that he's closely associated with. And it came up in passing that I'd never heard one of the Alan Parsons records that my friend brought over. So he ended up buying me this copy of I, Robot, and we have listened to it. The night he brought it over, we listened to the entire record front to back. But because that material is so new to me, that's chilling in the new arrival bin until I can get a couple more plays on it before it gets filed away. This here, Beck Odelay, this is the single LP reissue from UMG. This is in new arrivals, even though I've owned this record for quite a while, and in various forms on CD when it came out. And I actually own the 4 LP reissue, deluxe version, I guess you could call it, of the album. But because of the way it's packaged and the way the tracks fall, I found that I was never listening to this, and this is a hell of an album. Like, Odelay is a hell of an album. And so just recently, I was in a store, they had the 1 LP reissue, and I thought, you know what, let me pick that up because I really, really, really want to listen to it. So this is in here more because I'm trying to make up for lost time. It's like the last 10 years I haven't listened to the 4 LP version enough. This here is a Target exclusive that I picked up just recently. Pretty self-explanatory. Boyz II Men, Legacy. It's got everything that I've ever heard by them, all the radio hits. And for me, the big attraction on this is One Sweet Day. So until I get a chance to spin that a couple of times, it's going to stay in there. This album is going to get its own video very soon on the channel. KMFDM Angst. This is one of my favorite records of all time, and was not on vinyl until just very recently, like over the past several months. It finally got an issue on vinyl. It was released on a 2 LP 45 RPM set. Sounds amazing. I will go into further detail about this when I shoot a video about this album specifically. But this, even though I've heard this album a million times, and I've actually got a chance to spin the vinyl 2 or 3 times already, it's chilling in my new release bin for now because I have several friends who have never heard the album, and I keep playing it for them one by one, and they keep being amazed by what they're hearing. Next up is another one that I've got to spin a couple of times, and I like what I've heard so far, the Mammoth WVH. If you're not familiar, this is Edward Van Halen's son, Wolfgang Van Halen, and this is his debut record, which I was very, very, very excited to get, and it is 2 LPs. Everything on this record is written and played, performed. The whole record is done by Wolfgang himself, and I like it. I like it. I've only listened to it a couple of times. I really do need to take a listen to it a little bit further, so that's why it's still in the new release bin, but I do like what I've heard so far. Up next in the new release bin is Parker Millsap's record, Be Here Instead. I always want to say Be Here Now, which is the Oasis album. Really, really like this record. This is another one that I have heard 2 or 3 times, but is sticking in the new arrivals bin for now because it needs a little more attention before it gets filed away with his other records. I like a lot of what Parker Millsap has done. Rockabilly, Americana in some ways. Fantastic. If you're going to look into Parker Millsap, I would definitely tell you to start with the record before this. It's called Other Arrangements. Specifically, look up a track called Fine Line. If you like that track, look into the rest of the record and you'll like that. So the newest Parker Millsap is chilling there. Sticking kind of in that same vein, Casey Musgrave's Golden Hour. This is, I've always had Casey Musgrave's first record, and this is one of those albums that friends have always brought over. Like somebody always has it in their record bag when they come over. At least one of the people that comes over generally has it in their record bag. So I finally just decided to get my own copy of it. That's recent acquisition, so that's just in there for now. Pink Floyd Live at Nebworth, 2 LP. There's a lot of information about this out on the internet. If I'm being honest, this is a completionist purchase. I used some birthday money to get this because I think it's a cash grab in many ways. I went into great detail in that during my Delicates on the Thunder video, which you can check on the channel if you're a Pink Floyd fan, you want more on that, or just leave a comment and I'll be happy to explain why it is that why I even own it if I think it's a cash grab type deal. But it's being the Pink Floyd that I am and a completionist, it's in there because I do want to give it at least one spin straight through before it gets filed away in Pink Floyd. Next up is a couple of Prince releases from completely different ends of his career. Dirty Mind is one of those Prince albums that for all the Prince records that I have, I just never got around to picking it up on vinyl. I've heard the record a million times, probably on vinyl when I was a kid, and CD later, cassette. But for some reason, in the past decade or so, I just never got around to picking up Dirty Mind on vinyl. So I fixed that recently. It's in the bin until I give it 2 or 3 spins. Again, just I want to make sure to listen to the actual record that I bought. This here is The Truth, which is the acoustic album from Prince that was the Record Store Day piece this year. This sounds absolutely fantastic. From what I understand, I've seen online there were issues with some of the pressings of this, and it's by all accounts, I've listened to mine 2 or 3 times and I lucked out. This is another one that's like the KMFDM release where I've heard this a lot and I've listened to the record a lot since I got it, but it's sticking in the new arrivals bin for now until a lot of other friends that come over to spin records have had a chance to hear it. Up next is a record that I can't say enough good things about, and this falls under the exact same category as KMFDM or Prince. This is the latest record, Royal Blood. It's called Typhoons, and this is in my new arrivals bin, even though I've spun it 10 or 15 times already. It's staying in there for now because I have a lot of other friends that still need to hear this record. Royal Blood is a 2-man rock band out of the UK that make, on their first couple of records, made just straight up hard rock songs that I loved a great deal. And then this album is a complete turn from it. Still rocks, but it's dance beats and whatnot. Just a complete and total, in my opinion, evolution of their sound. I haven't really poked around the internet to see what anybody thinks about it, if they're longtime fans like it or not, but I love it. Very, very welcome change. Royal Blood, Typhoons. Coming up to the end of the new arrivals bin, we got some very special records that are kind of rounding things out. Sade, the best of. I really want to get more into her catalog. But this to me is a great place to start. I have not got a chance to listen to the entire thing. I did listen to one LP of it, and of course everything on it is awesome. If you're a Sade fan, there's probably a lot more to her than just the radio hits, which is mostly what's on the best of. But for me, getting a foot in the door, I think this was a good place to start. So still chilling in the new arrival bin for now till I get a chance to really listen to the entire thing. This here is a fantastic record that I've wanted for a very long time. This is by a band called Toploader, and if I'm not looking at it, I will get this wrong. It's called Anka's Big Maka, and this is a fantastic pop album that was never released on vinyl here in the US, and was the original pressings of this went for a ridiculous amount of money, and the label Music on Vinyl, which gets a lot of praise, deservedly so, around the internet, went ahead and reissued this record. I'm really excited that they did. I don't want to understate the rest of the record. It's a fantastic pop rock album. If you've never heard of the band Toploader, go to streaming or maybe even blind buy this album, take a listen. But for me, the big feature that brought me to this album was they have a cover of the old King Harvest song, Dancing in the Moonlight. That is amazing. I'm not one to just instantly say, oh, the cover's better than the original, but Toploader gave King Harvest a run for their money here on Dancing in the Moonlight. I think their version of this song is absolutely stunning, and I'm very, very, very thankful that this got released. I have given it a spin or two, but this is one of those more people need to hear it records, so it's still hanging out in the new arrivals for now. The Violent Femmes, added up 1981 to 1993. This is another one that I, for the longest time, was really upset that there was no reissue of, and I didn't want to pay the $100 to several $100s to get this reissue. Now I do have a lot of other Violent Femmes LPs, but this particular one is just kind of a memory thing. Like when this came out, all of my friends had the CD, we listened to it constantly, and some of the versions and alternate takes that are on here, live versions, there's a couple of tracks like in between, like there's a voicemail message and a live intro and whatnot. It's just one of those things where that's the version of the songs that I know, and so this is kind of like the KMFDM album in that I've wanted it for so long on vinyl, and even though I've heard it 1,000 different times on CD over the years, it's still hanging out in the new arrivals bin because it's something that I want to spin several more times before I go ahead and file it away. Last two things taking up the new arrivals bin right now are a couple compilations. This one here is a Target exclusive 2LP of Motown. I already have a couple of different Motown compilations, but for some reason I'll just keep buying them. I mean, obviously I love Motown music. Some of the compilations have songs that others don't, and or different. It's almost like a playlist. It's like having access to a different playlist. Really like the track listing on this. It's over 2 gold records. It's really sweet. And again, I've heard all the tracks on here a ton, but for now it's chilling in the new release bin because it's just a great compilation to have right on hand. This next one is the last one that's in my new arrivals bin right now, and this is the Best of Philadelphia International Records. This was another birthday gift recently, and I couldn't be happier about it. This is, as you might imagine, a collection of fantastic soul music from the 70s. To be honest, I didn't even look at the track listing when this was given to me for my birthday. I just saw Philadelphia International Records, knew it was going to be fire, and put it on and listened to it straight through. And every single track, as you might imagine, is, oh, I love this song. So what I've done since then is I've had so much else to dig into and things to play for other people and so on that I haven't had a chance to listen to this 2 or 3 more times. So it's still hanging out in the new release bin, but man, great album. So that is a little bit of what's going on in my new arrivals bin, why I have one. If this is your first time on the channel, like I said, please make sure to hit the subscribe button. If you're a longtime subscriber, thank you. Please go ahead and drop a like on the video. But most important to me on all these videos is the interaction. Please make sure that you drop a comment. Let me know what you think about some of these that are sitting in my new arrivals bin. Let me know what you've picked up recently. Doesn't have to be a brand new release all the time. Something you've wanted on vinyl for a really long time, or something you're glad finally got reissued, or whatever else. Love to have the interaction. Love to hear about what everybody else is buying and what they're excited about and what they want to listen to. Please, by all means, make sure you get involved. Leave us a comment. Love to have all the community type feel on the channel. Even if you don't get a chance to do any of those things, I just want to say thanks so much for watching.